you want to make sure that you're taking it seriously, because your information technology is a vital organ inside of your business. It's not your pancreas. All right. Yeah. Or it's not your appendix. You know what I mean? I think appendix is probably a better example. It's not your appendix.
Yeah, I was going to say, pancreas seems pretty important.
Pancreas you might want to hang on to.
Our question or our topic for this week is a very practical one. We're getting right down to the nitty-gritty. How much should a business pay for their IT service? Ooh. How much is too much? How much is too little?
Sure.
What should a business be paying for their IT?
That is a great question that's hard to answer, but there are some things that we can talk about that I think will help us put into perspective sort of what the range is of information technology costs for an outsourced IT provider, and what's sort of reasonable. But it's going to change a little bit based on your area as well. But I would say, generally speaking, most MSPs, right, managed service providers or other outsourced IT providers, are going to bill you either based on the number of people in your organization. That's probably the most popular way and probably the best way in a lot of cases. Or they're going to bill you based on the number of devices you have. That's another popular way of doing things, per workstation, per server, per switch and router. There's other options, like sometimes folks will offer block hours and just say you can buy our time, and our time is X amount of dollars per hour, however much of it you want. But the two big ones in the MSP space are going to be per user and per device. So let's start with per user, because I think that is the best way generally to have to receive a bill as a customer, as well as if you are an MSP, that's our preferred way to actually bill our customers, with a few exceptions. So the first thing you have to consider is, like, what are you getting in this stack, is what we call it, in your stack, like in your offering. You're getting help desk support, right? You're getting time, probably unlimited calls to have help with your problems. But in addition to that, there's probably other services that are coming along with that. Maybe a certain degree of automation or reporting, certain tools like network monitoring, or RMM services, and like desktop and server hardware monitoring. Maybe there's some security stuff in here as well, like endpoint detection, antivirus, or SIM, for instance, a secure, and I got to look this up because I don't want to get it wrong. Secure information event monitoring, I think, is what it stands for. If you're, are you getting all those things? Are you getting two-factor authentication as part of that stack? All that stuff's going to increase the price. There's a range in Colorado, generally speaking. On the higher end, you're going to be seeing around $150 per user per month. On the lower end, you're going to be seeing around $100 per user per month. That's sort of the spectrum here. Now, that's not to say that there aren't folks who are less than that or more than that, but generally that's about kind of the workable area. But there's going to be big reasons why. One, there's going to be big reasons in that range why people are at the low end of that or the high end of that range. But if they're outside of that range, there's definitely something going on, right? On the high end, it means that there's a lot of additional services that are being added to the contract. On the low end, it means there's a lot being left out.
So if you're paying significantly more than that, then there should be some sort of explanation as to why that is, or what additional services are being added to your per user agreement, because we're specifically talking about per user right now, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And that's here in Colorado. So now if you're in New York or Los Angeles, it could be a whole different number because the market is different there. Wages are different there. But generally speaking, here, at least in the sort of middle of the country, that's going to be about what you're looking at is 100 to 150. We're charging right in the middle of that. We're at $130 per user for our secure managed user product. And, you can add additional services on top of that could bring that number up higher, close to that 150. But, you're not going to see much past that from us.
Okay. Well, that's beautiful. That's cut and dry. That's yeah, I kind of thought we might dance around it a little bit, but I love it. You just drove straight into the hard numbers. There's nothing to hide,
Yeah.
right?
No, the price is the price. And people always get so concerned about what does it cost? What does it cost? You know, MSPs need to make money, and you want your MSP to make money. You do. Because if they're not profitable, if they're not making money, they're not hiring good talent, they're not buying the best tools, they're not doing a great job. You know, and also if they're not making any money, then they're going to go out of business, and then you're in a bad spot. You don't want them to gouge you at the same time. Of course, nobody wants that either. You want some sort of equitable arrangement here. But the important thing to look at is, what would it cost you to have this amount of work and effort taking place in your environment if you were to do it yourself, if you were actually to hire somebody to do it? And it's expensive. You know, if you're going to hire somebody, you're going to pay that person on the low end for a decent person. Decent, not great. Decent person. You're going to pay, 50, 60K. You could easily pay 80K for somebody who's very talented. And if you want some specialty out of that person, then you could be easily into the six figures. So, what are you paying per month for your information technology? And just, we've kind of talked about this in the past, but it's not just the people you're paying for. It's the process, right? The people, the process, the knowledge, the tools, the administration. Like, there's a lot that you're getting for that charge. It's not the same as just hiring an individual.
You know, hearing those numbers and thinking about what it does, it's kind of, I mean, that's a great price, really. And I'm not saying this to sound salesy or anything, but if you're protecting your vehicle, someone might pay $100, anywhere from $75 to $150 a month to protect your vehicle. Your vehicle's important. Your life's important, obviously, as well. Your business is generally much more expensive than your vehicle. So, talking about $150 per user, it actually sounds pretty reasonable. To be completely honest, these are numbers that I've heard in passing. I've heard I've heard numbers in passing, but all the details and specifics about it, I'm in the learning process as well. So definitely good to know that. And like I said, it sounds reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds, reasonable to some people. There are other people who are just blown away by this number, and they can't believe that anybody would pay, that kind of money for information technology. But the thing is that it's about setting the right understanding of what an MSP does, what you're getting, what your technology involves. And this is a really big challenge for MSPs everywhere, because we understand what goes into actually properly operating your information technology and helping your business actually do things correctly and be protected. And we know that, but that's not something that's clear to everybody. So a couple things that I'd say you have to be cognizant of when you're looking at the pricing for your MSP. Are you trying to hire somebody who is, like a janitor? You made a mess. Now you want somebody to come clean it up. Is your MSP down there with your janitor in terms of the way that you view the work that they do, right? Whoever can do it the cheapest, come in and clean the office. That's what I'm looking for. It's just all the same. Is that how you view your information technology? Or are you viewing your information technology more like your lawyer or your accountant, which is, I need somebody who's going to help me at the core of my business to operate this thing successfully. And I need a trusted partner, a strategic partner here to help me actually be successful. If you're looking for that, somebody who is competent, can give you advice, can lead you to where you need to go, can actually talk to you about your business, not just about your technology, but can talk to you about your business at a strategic level, and then translate that strategy into your technical decisions, then yeah, that price makes a whole lot of sense. If you're just saying, oh, I can't find my email, and all I ever want is somebody to help me find my email. Okay, well then you're going to be able to get that for a lot less money. you're not going to be protected. You're not going to be in a good place in terms of the way that your network is set up or operates. You're going to be vulnerable to a lot of different easy to avoid attacks, lots of malware, lots of phishing attempts, things like that. And you're not going to have any strategy or any growth or any sort of vision or plan in place with regards to the way that your business is actually constructed. And I think this is the other thing I want people to understand. Your information technology is how you construct your workflows throughout through your business. It's how you construct your company. It's how do you receive communications, and how do you send communications? Where do you keep your information? What systems do you use to process that information? It's at the heart and soul of how your business operates. So you want to make sure that you're taking it seriously, because your information technology is a vital organ inside of your business. The kidney. This is part of that center core of how your organization operates. And if your information technology isn't secure, isn't set up correctly, doesn't operate, you're not in business. You're not working. You've stopped working.
Yeah, and this is just to throw this out there. We're not downplaying the role of janitors. We love our janitors. They keep things clean. It's just that comparison about it's just that comparison about when do you need a janitor, right? When something's messy. You don't need a janitor to pre-clean something up. So if
you're not generally sitting down, you're not generally sitting down with your janitor and consulting them on how to make your company more profitable.
Exactly.
It's not generally the conversation you're having with them, right? But you are having those conversations with people on the financial end of your, in accounting. You are having those conversations perhaps with your lawyer or similar ones with your lawyer, right? You're saying, how can we protect ourselves from liability? Well, your information technology sits right between those two. They're going to contribute to protecting you from harm and from risk, and they're going to help you achieve a more profitable company. And that's where you want your information technologist. You don't want your information technologist just to be somebody you phone up when you're having an IT problem.
So getting back on the subject here of the cost, you mentioned. You focused in on the per user, but you did mention a couple of other types of agreements. I know you mentioned the per device. Sounds like there's some a la carte options. And I'm assuming that a lot of this has to do with the structure of the business, what works best, for the structure of the business that you may be working with. But can you talk to us a little bit about the prices of those different types of agreements as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So per device pricing has been something that a lot of MSPs worked with more in the past than today, although it's still around, it still has its place. Generally, you're going to see somewhere around $40 to $60 a month per workstation, and you're going to see a higher charge for servers. Maybe it's going to be a few $100s a month for the servers, and then they're also going to start charging you for your network devices. So switches and routers, maybe wireless access points, load balancers, those kinds of things. And they're going to itemize all those and put that on your bill. Now, in addition to the charging for the support of the devices, they're also going to put in charges for things like backups or your software licensing. And that's true on the per user side as well. That might be rolled into that price. That might be in addition to that price. But you're going to have some sort of backup solution. You're going to have some sort of software licensing like Microsoft Office 365 or Adobe, these sorts of things. Those generally sit out as separate line items, or they'll be shown as one of the bundled items inside of your per user pricing. But per device pricing, where that really comes in handy is if you have, let's say you're a construction company and you've got a lot of devices, but you don't have a lot of users that are actually accessing corporate resources, then trying to follow the user around and bill for the user's time may not make sense, because you've got 100 employees, but really you've only got 15 or 20 employees that are actually utilizing the support service. So maybe you go per device. Now, we would probably still go per user in that scenario, and then just create a separate type of user that's somebody who doesn't really get any support. The reason why we prefer per user is that that's who we're trying to help. And so it doesn't matter to me if you've got a laptop or two laptops or, a desktop, a laptop, and a phone. You need my help. So I'm charging to help you. So how many people are in your company that need assistance and that we need to protect and that we need to bring into the entirety of your solution? So that's why we prefer to bill per user.
So when we're talking about per user, you made that very clear, and that's pretty obvious. It's a person, it's a user. We're talking about per device. That can be laid out for us. What kind of devices are we talking about here?
Yeah, so generally you're looking at workstations, so desktops, laptops, mobile devices, maybe phones, tablets, servers, and then there usually will be network device charges as well to manage your firewalls, your switches, things like that. That actually are the packet pushers on your network that keep everything, bound together and communicating. But that's generally which. But it's going to change per. I want to make this clear. It's per MSP. It's per region. Like there's a lot of variety in here. But in general, I did it again. I hit this thing. But in general, this is going to be the way that these things are priced out.
Okay. So with that price, with these prices, let's say per user you're paying 125, 130 per user. Now, is that unlimited service for the month for that user? And then same thing for per device. If you're paying, say you're paying $50 per device, and you got a laptop, a mobile phone, and a tablet and a printer. So there you go. $50 per month per device. Now, all those devices are having issues. Everything covered? How does that work exactly?
Again, it depends on your service provider, how they want to handle that. The way that Simpleworks handles this, because of course it is different per managed service provider, but we're going to give unlimited support through the week, the business week, from 8 a.m. generally 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are some customers who have some specific needs that are a little bit different than that, but generally we're going to do 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. We're going to do critical support on evenings and weekends. So we're going to be looking out for, your server crashing or your firewall failing, at night or over the weekend. We'll handle that as part of that service as well. But if you've lost an email at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, we're going to ask you to wait until Monday morning to have us look into that for you. Now, we can do it. If it really is an emergency, we can do it, but we charge an hourly charge for emergency service for non-critical items outside of our normal business hours. That's how we handle it. Some other folks handle it differently. Another thing I want to point out is, generally speaking, projects are not going to be included in your managed service agreement. So the idea that you're going to get an IT company that also is doing project work for you, for instance, moving locations or setting up new networks or setting up new devices, it's going to be something that's usually billed separately, because that's going to require specific costing based on scope of work. It's time-based work. You're going to have products that come into this, switches, firewalls, routers, servers, things like that. And so that's usually going to be sold separately, estimated per project.
I've heard this term before. Maybe you can clarify it. Hybrid agreement. Would that be some sort of a mix between per user and per device, or per user and some sort of a la carte, or what exactly is a hybrid agreement?
A lot of us offer sort of a way to augment your existing information technology staff. So let's say you already have an IT staff, but you really want to have that escalation point where where you can actually say, you know what, this is outside of the scope of the individuals here in the organization, and we want to have somebody on the outside that we can escalate this to. That's generally how a hybrid agreement is going to work. In our case, what we'll provide is the RMM tool. So we'll actually say, hey, we're going to put our monitoring agent on all of your workstations and servers, so we can actually check in real time for errors and event issues. We're also going to deploy our network monitoring tool in your environment, and then we're going to collect all those alerts and we're going to bring them up to you. We're going to share them with you when we see them, right? So when we see an issue come up, we're going to say, hey, we just noticed there's a problem. You've got a loop on your network. Would you like us to go ahead and take care of this for you? And you can say, nope, we've got it ourselves. Don't worry about it. You can close the ticket and you guys go ahead and take care of that. Or you can say, yeah, go ahead and take care of that for us. We do it. We bill you for the time and close the ticket and move on. And so that's hybrid, generally speaking. In addition to hybrid, we offer something called co-managed. You're going to see this from a lot of other, and there's different names for these things. It depends on who you're talking to, what they call it, but we call it co-managed, which is where we not only do the hybrid portion of the work, but we also offer you access to our ticketing system for you to use it as your ticketing system. So I'm not saying that you're getting the ability to send us tickets. What I'm saying is you get to have a tenant inside of our ticketing system as if you had purchased the software yourself for your business. It's a really cool system where you get to integrate into our service desk but have your own tenant. So that's co-managed. There's hybrid, there's co-managed. These are great solutions for when you already have existing IT and you want to supplement that and augment it. Maybe get additional coverage. Even if your existing IT is one person, this co-managed or hybrid are good solutions. But if you don't have any IT, then you don't want hybrid or co-managed. You want fully managed.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that sounds like each one of those we could probably break down and get the specifics on even more in further episodes. But as far as how much it costs, how much IT costs, I think we've got that pretty much covered. But just to make sure that we walk away with the main point here, we're going to do our normal breakdown in 30 seconds or less. Travis, how much should you be paying for your MSP, for your IT service?
Enough to get good service and protect your business. But where we are, that range is around at the low end about $100 per person per month, and at the high end usually around $150 per person per month. Depends on where you live. But you need to talk to different MSPs, find out what they charge, find out why they charge what they charge, and then you'll get a good idea of what a reasonable price is in your market.